While everyone knew Harley Davidson was struggling, nobody expected this. The company's latest financial reports don't just show a slowdown, they reveal a collapse so catastrophic that even the most loyal Harley fans are asking, can this legendary brand survive another year? This isn't just a business story, it's the slow-motion destruction of a 121-year-old American icon, a company once built on freedom, rebellion, and the open road, now buried under its own bad decisions, corporate arrogance, and an electric motorcycle disaster that might go down as one of the biggest flops in history. And the worst part? They did it to themselves. The numbers that broke Harley Davidson. Let's start with the brutal truth. The numbers. In the fourth quarter of 2024, Harley Davidson's motorcycle revenue didn't just decline. It collapsed by 60%. Unit sales plunged by over 50% year over year, and the company recorded a staggering $116 million loss in just 3 months. For a company of Harley's size and heritage, that's not a bad quarter. That's a financial heart attack. By early 2025, the bleeding didn't stop. Revenue fell another 23%, and profits dropped 43%. Even more shocking, US sales, Harley's home market, the land that built the brand, dropped by nearly a quarter. Global shipments, down 17%. Those are not the numbers of a struggling business. Those are the vital signs of a company on life support. And someone's already tripped over the power cord. But the truly terrifying part? Harley's executives responded to this disaster not with a plan, but with panic. They withdrew their entire 2025 financial guidance, basically admitting to investors, "We have no idea what's going to happen." That's not leadership. That's surrender. The LiveWire disaster. And that brings us to the real villain of this story, the LiveWire. Harley's big, bold, revolutionary attempt to go electric. The project they said would define the future of motorcycles. Instead, it became the corporate equivalent of driving off a cliff at full throttle. Let's put this in perspective. In the first quarter of 2025, LiveWire sold 33 motorcycles, not 33,000, not 3,300, 33 units. For a billion-dollar brand with global dealerships and marketing budgets bigger than most countries' GDPs, that number is almost impossible to believe. To make it worse, LiveWire posted a $20 million operating loss in that same quarter, meaning they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars per bike sold. It's as if Harley set out to prove how fast they could burn through cash and still keep a straight face during investor calls. And yet, despite those horrifying results, they kept doubling down. The US government even handed them $89 million in taxpayer funding to help boost electric production. $89 million that could have fixed roads, funded schools, or literally done anything else more useful than building motorcycles that nobody wants. And after all that, sales dropped another 72% year over year. The LiveWire wasn't just a flop. It was a black hole that swallowed money, reputation, and customer trust all at once. The soulless revolution. But numbers only tell half the story. The LiveWire failed not just because of its price, which by the way starts around $19,000, but because it completely misunderstood what Harley Davidson stands for. People don't buy Harleys for quiet rides or eco-friendly range stats. They buy them for the rumble, the vibration, the raw connection between man, machine, and the open road. The LiveWire took all of that away. It's smooth, silent, and soulless. The exact opposite of what made Harley legendary. Imagine walking into a steakhouse and being served tofu with a smile. That's what Harley did to its riders. For $19,000, you can buy a classic Harley that roars like thunder, turns heads on every street, and feels like freedom itself. Or you can buy the LiveWire, a bike that sounds like a hairdryer and runs out of juice before you finish your weekend ride. So what did loyal Harley fans do? They walked away. They didn't just avoid the LiveWire, they abandoned the brand. The customers strike back. Harley's traditional riders, the ones who built the brand from the ground up, feel betrayed. These are people who spent decades loving the Harley lifestyle, the culture, the craftsmanship, the identity. Now, they feel like the company they believed in turned its back on them. One Wisconsin dealer said it best, "I've sold Harleys for 30 years. I've seen recessions, competition, everything, but I've never seen customers this angry. They feel abandoned." That quote hits harder than any number because Harley's collapse isn't just financial, it's emotional, it's cultural. When your most loyal riders feel betrayed, it's like the heart of the company stops beating. Meanwhile, Indian Motorcycle, Harley's oldest rival, has been quietly taking over. While Harley chased government subsidies and ESG trends, Indian focused on what riders actually want: power, authenticity, and soul. Harley didn't lose to competition. they lost to themselves. Management's failure. At the center of this disaster lies Harley's leadership, a group of executives so obsessed with appearing innovative and green that they forgot the basics of business. Listen to your customers. The Livewire wasn't born from demand. It wasn't based on data or market research or even logic. It was born from ideology, chasing government incentives and trying to impress investors who don't even ride motorcycles. While sales of their traditional models fell, Harley slashed R&D budgets for the very bikes that kept them alive. They literally stole money from successful products to fund their failing experiment. And the result? Layoffs. Dealerships closing, factories cutting hours, and a proud American workforce watching their company crumble from the inside. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are people who've built motorcycles for decades. Fathers, sons, and daughters who take pride in American craftsmanship. And now, they're the ones paying the price for corporate arrogance. A company at war with itself. What makes this story truly tragic is that Harley Davidson could have prevented all of this. They didn't need to reinvent themselves as a Silicon Valley startup. They just needed to be a better Harley Davidson. Make better bikes. Improve quality control. Listen to feedback. Lower prices slightly to attract younger riders. Instead, they ignored every warning sign. Even as sales collapsed, executives congratulated themselves in meetings for being sustainability pioneers. They posted about the future of electric mobility while their dealers were closing their doors. It's like watching someone celebrate saving the planet while their own house is burning down behind them. The deeper you look, the more absurd it gets. Leaked emails show management bragging about their commitment to change, completely blind to the disaster they created. They turned Harley Davidson, a brand once synonymous with rebellion and authenticity, into a case study on how not to run a company. The global embarrassment. Internationally, the fallout has been just as brutal. European motorcycle magazines now run headlines like "The Death of an American Icon." Japanese manufacturers, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, are quietly watching as Harley implodes, wondering why they ever tried so hard to compete. Because Harley's destruction isn't being done by competition, it's being done internally. And to the rest of the world, it's a symbol of how American corporate greed and mismanagement can destroy even the strongest brands. A century of heritage, a symbol of freedom, reduced to a punchline about failed innovation. Can Harley survive? So, can Harley Davidson survive this mess? Honestly, maybe. But not if they keep pretending everything's fine. If Harley wants a future, they need to rediscover their past. Stop chasing electric trends that don't fit their DNA. Reinvest in what made them great: craftsmanship, culture, and connection. Because right now, the thunder that once echoed across America's highways has turned into a faint electric buzz that nobody wants to hear. The world doesn't need another tech company pretending to care about motorcycles. It needs Harley Davidson, the real one. So what do you think? Can Harley Davidson recover from this collapse? Or are we watching the final chapter of America's most iconic motorcycle brand? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the downfall of Harley Davidson, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next story about how major industries are being destroyed from the inside. Because in the world of business, the road to bankruptcy is always paved with good intentions and a few really bad decisions. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.